When SpaceX talks about testing to failure, they don't mean pushing a button and hoping nothing breaks. They mean the opposite. They deliberately push hardware until it breaks, sometimes violently, because that's how you truly understand where the limits are. And when it comes to Starship version 3, those limits are being explored on high-pressure test stands that are quietly rewriting what we know about stainless steel rocket structures. Today, we're diving deep into how SpaceX's high-pressure test stands push Starship V3 alloy strengths to failure, why they do it, what they're learning, and why this matters for orbital re-entry, deep space missions, and eventually Mars. And stick with me until the end, because I'm going to explain how these destructive tests could directly influence how many times a single Starship flies, and that's the key to SpaceX's entire business model. Let's start with the basics. Starship is built primarily from a high-strength stainless steel alloy. Unlike traditional rockets that use aluminum-lithium or carbon composites, SpaceX chose stainless steel for several reasons: strength at high temperatures, cost efficiency, and performance under cryogenic conditions. Stainless steel actually gains strength as it gets colder, which is extremely useful when your vehicle holds liquid methane at around -260 degrees Fahrenheit and liquid oxygen at around -297 degrees Fahrenheit. But here's the catch. It's one thing to calculate theoretical strength on paper. It's another thing entirely to pressurize a 30-foot diameter tank section and see what actually happens. That's where the high-pressure test stands come in. At SpaceX's Starbase facility in South Texas, tank sections and full vehicle stacks are mounted to massive structural stands. These stands anchor the vehicle while it is filled with cryogenic propellants or inert test fluids. Then engineers increase internal pressure, sometimes beyond normal operating limits, until they reach proof pressure, and sometimes until they reach failure. For context, Starship's propellant tanks operate at pressures in the range of roughly 6 to 8 bar during flight, about 90 to 120 psi. That may not sound extreme compared to industrial systems, but remember the scale. You're talking about a cylindrical tank over 150 feet tall and 30 feet in diameter. The surface area involved means enormous total force is pushing outward on the tank walls. Pressure multiplied by area equals force. When you scale up diameter, forces increase dramatically. For a tank of that size at 100 psi, the hoop stress, the circumferential stress trying to rip the cylinder apart, becomes immense. The steel walls must withstand millions of pounds of outward force distributed across their surface. In early Starship prototypes, we saw dramatic failures during cryogenic pressure testing. Tanks ruptured, bulkheads collapsed, and in some cases, weld seams gave way. Those events weren't setbacks in the traditional sense. They were data collection events. Starship V3 represents a further evolution in alloy processing, weld technique, and structural reinforcement. The steel alloy composition, rolling methods, and heat treatments have been refined. Welding, which is often the weakest point in large steel structures, has been optimized with improved automated processes. But none of that matters unless you test it to failure. Why failure? Because aerospace certification isn't about surviving nominal loads. It's about understanding margins. Engineers need to know the ultimate tensile strength of the tank under real-world geometry. They need to know at what internal pressure buckling begins. They need to observe crack propagation behavior. They need to measure strain at different points across the structure using sensors and strain gauges. When Starship V3 tank sections are mounted on high-pressure stands, they are instrumented extensively. Sensors measure hoop strain, longitudinal strain, weld seam stress, and deformation near dome interfaces. High-speed cameras monitor micro-buckling or instability in real time. Engineers are not just waiting for a boom, they are mapping the entire stress curve leading up to it. There are two key types of tests: proof tests and burst tests. A proof test pressurizes the structure to a level above expected operational pressure, often 1.25 to 1.4 times the nominal value, to ensure margin. If operational pressure is 100 psi, proof testing might push toward 125 or even 140 psi. Burst testing goes further. It intentionally pushes until structural failure occurs. That could mean rupture at a weld seam, dome buckling, or cylindrical wall tearing. The difference between proof pressure and burst pressure defines safety margin. If burst occurs at 160 psi and nominal operation is 100 psi, that's a 60% margin. But if burst occurs at 115 psi, you have a problem. Now here's where things get interesting with Starship V3. As SpaceX refines the vehicle for rapid reuse and potentially higher performance variants, mass reduction becomes critical. Every pound saved on structure increases payload capacity. But thinner walls mean reduced margin unless the material properties improve. That's why pushing the alloy to failure is essential. Engineers want to know the exact failure mode. Does the steel yield uniformly? Does it fail at weld heat affected zones? Does it buckle near stiffener rings? Is failure sudden or preceded by measurable deformation?
Failure mode determines redesign strategy. If weld seams are failing first, welding processes must improve. If dome curvature induces stress concentrations, geometry changes are needed. If buckling occurs before tensile rupture, stiffening rings or thickness adjustments might be required. High-pressure test stands allow SpaceX to simulate the internal loads experienced during ascent and propellant pressurization. During flight, Starship tanks are pressurized not only to feed engines, but also to maintain structural rigidity. In fact, the vehicle relies partly on internal pressure for stiffness. This is known as pressure stabilization. If internal pressure drops too low, structural rigidity decreases. That's why understanding the exact pressure tolerance is mission critical. Now let's connect this to reusability. Every time Starship flies, it will experience multiple pressure cycles: cryogenic loading on the pad, pressurization during ascent, depressurization after stage separation, thermal contraction and expansion during re-entry, then potentially rapid turnaround for the next mission. Materials fatigue under cyclic loading. Microfractures can form at weld seams or stress risers. If you don't know the true failure threshold, you can't accurately model fatigue life. By pushing tanks to failure on the ground, SpaceX can calibrate their computational models. Finite element simulations become more accurate when validated by real burst data. That allows engineers to predict how many cycles a tank can endure before requiring inspection or replacement. And this is where the big payoff comes in. If Starship is to fly hundreds of times, launching satellites, refueling in orbit, carrying cargo to the moon, the economics depend on minimal structural refurbishment. Knowing that the alloy fails at, say, 1.6 times operational pressure gives engineers confidence to operate at 1.2 times nominal during peak loads with safe margin. But if testing reveals unexpected weaknesses, they can adjust before committing to high flight rates. There's another factor: future upgrades. Starship V3 may incorporate stretched tanks, higher thrust Raptors, or increased propellant capacity. Higher thrust means higher dynamic loads. More propellant means higher hydrostatic pressure at the tank base. That changes stress distribution. Testing to failure today prepares the system for tomorrow's upgrades. High-pressure stands also allow testing at cryogenic temperatures. Remember, stainless steel behaves differently when cold. It generally becomes stronger but less ductile. That means it can handle higher stress before yielding, but when it fails, it may fail more abruptly. Understanding cryogenic fracture behavior is essential. A ductile failure tears slowly. A brittle failure can be catastrophic. By deliberately pushing cryogenic tanks until rupture, engineers can observe fracture propagation speed and pattern. Does the crack travel circumferentially, longitudinally,
Does it unzip along a weld seam? All of this informs safety and design margins. Now imagine this scenario. Starship returns from orbit and prepares for rapid relaunch within days. Engineers must decide whether tank structure is still within acceptable limits. That decision depends on validated models derived from destructive testing. Without pushing hardware to failure, you are guessing. SpaceX's philosophy has always leaned toward aggressive iteration. We saw it with Falcon 9 landing attempts. We saw it with early Starship prototypes that ended in dramatic explosions. But each explosion represented a data point. High-pressure stand failures are quieter, more controlled, but equally important. They are the laboratory equivalent of those early flight tests. And here's the deeper implication. If Starship's alloy strength margins prove robust, significantly above operational needs, SpaceX may choose to reduce wall thickness in future production vehicles. That reduces dry mass. Lower dry mass increases payload to orbit. Higher payload reduces cost per kilogram.
That is how material science directly influences Mars architecture. Because every extra ton delivered to orbit reduces the number of tanker flights needed for orbital refueling. Fewer tanker flights reduce mission complexity. Lower complexity increases reliability. It all traces back to understanding exactly when and how steel fails. So the next time you see a static image of a Starship tank on a test stand at Starbase, remember, that quiet cylinder may be moments away from being pushed beyond its limits. Not because something went wrong, but because engineers wanted to go wrong under controlled conditions. Failure on the ground prevents failure in the sky. And as Starship V3 evolves, these high-pressure tests are defining the real boundaries of its alloy strength. Boundaries that determine how hard it can be pushed, how often it can fly, and how far it can go. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the engineering behind Starship's structural testing, make sure you subscribe to Rocketry for more detailed breakdowns of modern spaceflight hardware. Like the video so it reaches more aerospace enthusiasts, and follow us on Facebook for mission analysis, development updates, and behind-the-scenes engineering discussions. Because the road to Mars isn't just paved with big rockets and bold headlines. It's forged in steel, tested until it breaks, and rebuilt stronger every time.